People, welcome back again to another video. If you are new in this channel, this is Queen Sharon Entertainment, a home of freedom fighters. If you haven't joined our family yet, join us by hitting the red button down below on the bell notification icon, so whenever we have a new video in this same channel, you will get notified. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I love you all. So my people, I have a video here that I want you all to watch, and I myself will be watching with you in this particular video. Feel free to let me know what you think about the video after watching on the comment section below. Like and share this video, and I will see you again in my next one. Bye.
We didn't know anything going on in the world. We didn't have any means of communication. We didn't understand why we were there.
They basically treated us like animals.
The words written there were, "Dear God, please allow me to experience happiness one more time during my life."
We became the story, and that was absolutely never our intention.
My name is Rudy Rockman. I'm a Jewish and Israel rights activist, and I'm also the executive producer and host of the We Were Never Lost documentary series. It's a series that is set to tell the stories, struggles, and aspirations of lesser known or disconnected communities of Jews around the world. Our first season is to take place in Africa, and we were just in Nigeria filming our first episode. Unfortunately, after 2 days, we were illegally held by the Nigerian government's internal security service and held in cages for 3 weeks. We're here to set the record straight of what we went through and what actually happened.
My name is David Benaim. I'm a journalist and I'm a field producer and producer on the We Were Never Lost series.
I'm Noam Liebman of Kavanagh Films and the creative director for We Were Never Lost. So first you may need a bit of context to understand who the Igbos are and why we went to Nigeria in the first place.
Now, the Igbo people are a people with a rich history, diversity, and a lot of culture, and have very similar experiences that other Jewish communities have had around the world that are known in the mainstream, whether it's through persecution or overcoming challenges. They believe to be descendants of a tribe of Israel, specifically of Gad. There is a large community within the Igbo population that has either preserved elements of their Jewish culture, their Jewish heritage, or has come back to their Jewish culture and heritage. And some of them are even now second generation born, where all they know is being Jewish. And we were coming to Nigeria to document specifically their stories. Where do they come from? What have they experienced? What is their history? What are their aspirations? What are their culture? Do they want to stay living in Nigeria? Do they want to come back to Israel? What is their story? And that's why we came to Nigeria.
Okay, so starting from the beginning, we arrived in Nigeria and spent the first 2 days filming in a village called Ogidi.
The amazing community that welcomed us with open arms, like cooked us food and introduced us to their way of living their Jewish life, the way they were praying every single morning.
Even though we only had 2 days, we got to experience how charismatic, intelligent, hardworking, and knowledgeable in Torah that this community is. At the end of our second day of filming, we were notified that there were some online posts going viral that had used images of us. We could see that they had completely fabricated stories, calling us Mossad agents,
associating us to a movement that is seeking to liberate Biafra and to fight against the Nigerian government, which of course we had nothing to do with.
Some agents in Israel have arrived. They are here to indeed restore the Biafran nation.
Before the British Empire had come and colonized Nigeria, the Igbo people were an autonomous population in their own lands, and when the British came, they united the different ethnic groups and tribal regions, from the Yoruba to the Hausa and Fulani, and also the Igbo population. Around the 60s, there was a Biafra War, which is a war of independence for the Igbo in the southeastern region of Nigeria. They were independent for a few years. Millions of people were killed and starved to death during that war, and eventually they lost and became part of Nigeria again. Afterwards, there was a lot of tension and bad blood between the communities, and the Hausa Fulani, which are the majority and those that are always in power, have been discriminating the Igbo population, and since then there are still movements that seek to separate from the rest of Nigeria. Now, apart from this political movement to achieve self-determination for the Igbo people, the reality is that the vast majority of the Igbos have nothing to do with fighting or physically pushing for the liberation of Biafra and are normal people living within Nigeria.
These bloggers had seen we were bringing a Sefer Torah as a gift to the youth community and proceeded to make a fake claim that our efforts were connected to the separatist movement and that when a Torah arrives, it's a sign of their movement. This claim doesn't even make sense because there are already several Sefer Torahs throughout the region.
The DSS decided to get involved. The DSS is the Secret Service, the Interior Defense of Nigeria.
They show up at our hotel at 7 a.m. Friday morning with about 10 heavily armed men in black ski masks and tell us that we need to come with them.
They took our phones, they took our passports, and they took our freedom for the following 20 days.
Of course, we were coming in with no bad intentions and we were innocent the entire time, so we didn't think much of it. We thought that we'd just come in for an hour, answer some questions, we'd show them what we're about and what we were planning to do, and that would be able to continue and to proceed with the project. Eventually, they started taking us one by one and interrogating us in ways that they would just accuse us when asking a question of us being there for malicious reasons. Of course, we had nothing to hide, so we all answered with the truth that our project had nothing to do with any sort of political movement, that we were there to document the beautiful lives and the culture of the Igbo Jewish community in Nigeria. So it's Friday night and we've realized at this point that we're not going to be able to get out and do Shabbat where we had planned to do. We're in a holding cell and everyone's leaving for the weekend and we wanted to do Shabbat but we had no grape juice or wine. So we did the Kiddush over a grape that we found and the motzi over some crackers that we had. And this is how we spent our first Shabbat in Nigeria.
Now, Rudy, David, and I know that we have embassies of 3 very powerful countries willing to fight for us, but this is not the case for Nigerians who get arrested. There was a non-Igbo man initially taken into custody with us, and when he asked our captors not to yell at us, the interrogator threatened him by saying, "I can make you disappear." This is the type of abuse of power we witness firsthand, and the realization that there's just no accountability for this injustice.
24 hours later, in the morning at 7 a.m. after sleeping on the floor, we were rushed into a van.
They did not want to tell us where we would be. They did not want to tell us where we would go. They just said, get in the car. The drive was horrendous, very dangerous, driving extremely fast, almost intentionally trying to sort of intimidate people by driving in their directions in order for them to be afraid. A lot of us were afraid for our lives.
We had no clue if the world knew that we were taken. We could not communicate with anyone.
After 9 hours of non-stop dangerous driving, we were dropped off at the DSS headquarters in Abuja and brought to a caged holding cell.
And when we say cage, we mean literally a cage. It was a circular room that you can maybe take 3 or 4 steps in each direction behind bars.
And then we asked our captors, "Are we under arrest?" They said no. "Are we being detained?" They say no. So we tell them we refuse to willingly enter this cage. For about 20 minutes, they stood around not knowing what to do because they didn't have the authority to put their hands on us. Eventually, another officer comes in, screaming at his men that they're embarrassing him, and orders them to physically throw us in the cage.
First 5 nights we didn't have lights, we didn't have AC, it was dark, it was hot.
No furniture, no beds, we're forced to sleep on the tile floor.
We were sweating, there were bugs, there were bottles of urine all over, it smelled very bad.
The cage itself looked like what you could imagine in Hollywood movies, besides it was not a film. We were living it completely.
In the morning, when the sunlight finally illuminated the room, we saw writing all over the walls from previous prisoners. The words written there were, "Dear God, please allow me to experience happiness one more time during my life." And another one saying,
"Please remember me once I disappear."
We could see the bars on the walls of the people that were counting the days.
For 6 days we didn't shower, we were eating only bread and crackers.
They basically treated us like animals, and no hope of knowing at all what was going on the outside. We had no clue why we were being arrested.
Finally, after 5 days there, the Israeli ambassador managed to come with one of the consulates from the American embassy to see us. This was the first time that we made contact.
And we finally were able to know that the outside world kind of understood what our situation was.
Told us that they were doing everything that they can to get us out, that they were trying diplomatic means, and that they were in communication with our families, which was a breath of fresh air, that people knew where we were, and that at least our families knew the location of where they were keeping us. They also managed to speak to the people that were holding us, the DSS officers, and agreed to bring food from Chabad, a Jewish organization all around the world, specifically the one in Nigeria, that agreed to provide us with kosher food. So by day 6, it was the first time that we had a real meal. We were finally allowed to shower. Now, when I say shower, I don't mean we go into a room with an actual shower. I mean we go to the bathroom with a bucket that they use to either clean themselves because there's no toilet paper, or to actually clean the bathroom itself by pouring water on the floor. And taking this bucket, we would fill it up with cold water from the sink and we would dunk it on our heads. And that's how we would shower there for the 3 weeks that we were being held.
I am immunodepressive and I need my medication daily. If I don't, my life could be in immediate danger, especially in the kind of situation that we are being held on.
His medication, along with all of our equipment and luggage, was left at our hotel 900 kilometers away.
And 5 days without my medication can be extremely dangerous with my condition. And we kept on telling them that, and we kept on telling them that that was essential that I get my medication, but they would not react.
The DSS doctor scribbled down the name of the medication and tells us, don't worry, we'll find some. And we're explaining it's a unique prescription customized for him. It's very expensive. You're not going to find it in Nigeria. And if you don't take this seriously, you're going to have the death of a foreign citizen on your hands. And their response was just, calm down, don't worry.
He was feeling very afraid that he might catch something, so he was taken by the French embassy, and he was also hospitalized and finally was able to get his medication.
I was sent back every single morning for days to get questioned. The fact that I had to go back inside knowing the way we were treated over there was actually more damaging to me than just the arrest itself.
Me and Noam continued in that room, and after a week we were changed to another cage that was slightly bigger but had also another 2 cellmates with us. Those 2 cellmates are accused of doing a terror attack in Abuja bombing in 2014, and the other one of purchasing weapons illegally. At the end of the day, we don't know these people. They could try to harm us, they can try to do something. So the first week being there, we even walked around carrying scissors from my toiletry bag that I had, and we put it in our pockets to make sure that in case one of them or both of them were to attack us, that at least we'd have something to defend ourselves with. And this was kind of the day-to-day life that we went through. We didn't know anything going on in the world. We didn't have any means of communication. We didn't understand why we were there. Several times me and Noam looked at each other and were like, how did we get here? Accused of all sorts of things, not even officially charged or arrested, so we don't even have human rights to lawyers in horrible and horrendous conditions, and we just couldn't understand how our lives ended up here at that moment.
We knew that Nigeria's own laws state that when someone is brought in as a suspect, the DSS has 48 hours to arrest or release them. They interviewed us for hours on end, took written and video recorded statements, they hacked our phones, they did literally everything in their power to try to find one shred of evidence they could use against us for an arrest. Before the trip, we understood that the government is not friendly to the Biafra movement, but we couldn't have imagined that they would be unable or unwilling to differentiate between those involved in the IPOB separatist movement and Igbos who just want to live a Torah-based Jewish life. In the end, we didn't receive our freedom for 3 weeks. Almost the entirety of this time was spent just sitting in a blank room.
No form of mental stimulation, no reading material, no news, no nothing going on other than being trapped in a room that was completely disgusting and looking at each other and not knowing when this would end. We didn't know if we would end up being there for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years. We didn't know if people were actually fighting for us. We didn't know if we'd be able to get a lawyer, if something would happen where they would take us and something bad were to happen to us. We were living completely with the fear of the unknown.
I'm a journalist, and one of the most important rules is that you never become the story. Here, we became the story, and that was absolutely never our intention.
We weren't able to create the film that we set out to make. The opportunity was completely robbed from us, and there's no way we'll be allowed back into Nigeria. But if you know anything about the Jewish people, you'll know that we are not ones to give up on our aspirations. This injustice has only increased our motivation to share the stories of the Igbos, and the project will continue.
And this is the occasion for us to go back to exactly what our purpose is. Talk about the Igbo Jews from Nigeria and all the different communities that we are going to explore for the future of We Were Never Lost.
We'd like the world to understand that we were there to focus solely on the Jewish communities, and we hope also through this video that the Nigerian government can understand that if they are fighting against movements seeking to separate from Nigeria, they shouldn't be targeting every single Jew and every single Igbo in Nigeria.
The Igbo Jews welcomed us with open arms, and I will always remember this, and that's what I will keep with myself all the time. And also I really want to say that I left with 2 friends, the We Were Never Lost team, and I came back with 2 brothers, and that's pretty incredible.
During our 3 weeks in detainment, we had no ability to stand up for ourselves, but many people, in fact tens of thousands of people, stood up for us, including our families, including the diplomats that got involved, including several other individuals.
I was able to see the strength and the force of all different chancelleries, the embassies, all the families, the friends that were really working tirelessly behind the scene to help us get out from there.
And also the thoughts and prayers and actions of tens of thousands of people who follow our work, who follow our project, and who were there for us when we couldn't be there for ourselves.
Our end goal here is not just to make beautiful films about remote Jewish communities, but to bring these diaspora communities to the consciousness of Am Yisrael so they can begin to be understood and reconnected with. If you'd like to support this project, please visit wewereneverlost.com.
Thank you so much for watching that particular video. Feel free to let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. Like and share this video, and I will see you guys again in my next one. Bye.